down the hammer and pick up the pencil. You're about to listen to the Savvy Radio Show. Learn from real-life real estate investors, experience revealed with the Savvy Landlord as your host.
All right, Savvy investors, hopefully you're doing good and you had a good weekend. It is Monday and I just got back from a trip that I went on. I'm honored to go. Bang, bang. I was on location in Buffalo, New York, checking out a new market. No, I am not a rock star. I'm only a rock star in my mind. You know what I'm talking about. You're a rock star in your mind too, because you are a real estate investor. But just to set the stage, a really good friend of mine had an opportunity and still has that opportunity, and he's still deciding on this opportunity after our trip to Buffalo. 18 units, 16 single-family homes with 2 duplexes. So anyway, I was just honored to get invited, and I went up there and looked at these units. And the goal here is to teach you or share with you, I don't know if I'm teaching you anything, but give you some insight of my trip and how it went and so on and so forth. First of all, my friend did the negotiations on the front end. He had it down to about $25,000 a unit. Now, the reason why I had jumped up there, I was like, ooh, that makes sense. Those are my numbers, $700 average, $750 for a $25,000 investment. Boom, diggity, bomb, diggity, boom, boom, boom. I'm on my way up there. Hey, if you don't buy these, I'm going to buy them. Well, anyway, it all sounds gravy until you get up there. Okay. Not all deals seem sweet when you get it under contract. So that's number one. When we ran the numbers frontwards and backwards. And what I learned that not all deals seem amazing. So you've got to know that on the front end. So it just sounds legit, sounds like amazing. But when you start digging into stuff, one thing that I found out is that you, the landlord, pays for the water and trash there. In the city, in the suburbs, you can take that bill and take it out of their name, but the landowner of that property must pay the water bill in the name of the property that you have it named into. So, yeah, you could probably charge the tenant on the side, but a unit, a house, a full structure, 3-bedroom, 1 bath, or 4-bedroom, 1 bath, and you're the landlord, you got to pay for it. So I thought that was interesting. So you're not really making $700 minus utilities and all the other drama. We really don't have that here in Oklahoma City. There is a couple of cities that do that. War Acres and Bethany require that the landowner, the homeowner, the property owner, not homeowner, the property owner is required to pay for the water in their bill. So that was one thing that you need to know. So it doesn't sound all gravy, $700 minus a bunch of other things. One thing I did learn that you've got to do is you must do your own inspections. As I'm trying to grow my business, I'm thinking, and in talking to Joe Mueller, I was like, oh, you can buy houses all over the place, $25,000. Sounds like a good deal. Everything's all gravy. Man, I'm so thankful that I went with my friend and inspected these properties ourselves. The impression that we got from the seller that the property manager was like all good and they were doing their job. No, they weren't. They were scandalous. I'm talking super duper scandalous to the point of we told them 2 weeks before that we're going there and we need this type of paperwork. We need the rent rolls. We need the leases, and we're doing the inspection. We're got a 2-day window. We want to get it done as much as possible. And we have another investor that is coming, and he's actually kind of the private investor. We didn't let them know, but we needed to get him in because he was loaning the money. Dude, we get there, it was a cluster of disaster. And so that was one thing that you can't trust what the property manager says. I just learned that on another deal, and that's a podcast coming up. But you need to physically go there yourself and inspect it. Another good thing that I noticed, get other people on your team as soon as possible. We knew that this property manager was going to be just drama. We didn't know how intensity this property manager was. The great thing is this investor already had some properties in there in Buffalo, in the area, already was using a property manager, and bent that gentleman's ear and said, hey, can you come out and look at it, which was awesome. So that was number 3. Number 1 is know all your deals. They may seem sweet, but not all deals are the same. 2, you must do your own inspection. Number 3, know another property manager in the area, build a relationship. I mean, I'm talking about maybe 3 or 4. So if you have dreams of buying property outside of your area in another state, even another city, I definitely would have backups. And so when we were doing these inspections, we would meet people on the street. You know, it was snowing, mad, crazy blizzard 2017. It was just nutty. And we met a guy on the street that knew exactly, this guy charges people $50 a month to come 2 or 3 times a week to shovel people's snow. I was like, this is the guy. I got this guy's number, and he told me about the whole neighborhood. He told me that the 2 houses that we were buying were, you know, in a foreclosure 10 years ago. And one thing that guy said that wasn't from on the paperwork, or thus we didn't have any paperwork, that these people in this blue home across the street were on a rent to own, a lease purchase. So, man, I'm telling you, building a relationship with people on the boots on the ground in the location, especially someone that's shoveling snow. We got that guy's number, and we started building relationships. We also met some contractors. So, build a relationship. So that's number 3. Number 4. I'm not joking with this one. I know this is effing obvious, but you jokers, me personally, don't do this well enough. Take super duper photos. I'm talking blinged out as many photos as you can. My buddy, he had a super duper camera, and he was just taking, he looked like paparazzi. And I'm going to tell you right now, you need to be a paparazzi for many reasons. One, you're driving across state lines. You can't remember everything. And it's awesome for negotiations, for ammunition. And I'm going to tell you about how we're renegotiating with this seller, and it just creates a value. When you're taking the picture, take the picture of the street, you know, of the sign, the address, or whatever, the numbers on the outside, so you can keep track of where you're at. Number 5, another thing that I learned, bring a binder of all the data. I'm talking about the county assessor, appraisals, a piece of paper, a notepad, all in one binder. Be super organized. Try to get aerial photos, verify some things. We had a property manager on, boots on the ground, a third-party property manager that we're anticipating that we're going to take these properties over from this ghetto property manager, and he couldn't find one of the properties, and this dude lived there. It was on a street, but it was on a corner. It was kind of a weird situation, but we found the property. That guy didn't, and so we had, you know, satellite images so we can find out what's really going on. Number 6, you cannot get emotional. You've got to crunch the numbers. Man, I'm telling you, when I knew about this deal, we've been working on this deal for a while, and man, I'm like crunching the number, $750 a month, $25,000 investment. Dude, that's bigger than Oklahoma. I'm like, man, I'm thinking about getting out there myself. Man, minus the emotions. Don't try to be all big baller because we're buying property in another state, good or bad, but the numbers minus the emotions. You've got to crunch the numbers and hold to those numbers. And then with those numbers, you've got to factor in the drama, factor in firing the property manager, factor in vacancy. I'm talking about 2-3 months of vacancy. You don't know what deal that's going on with that property manager, and then you're coming on. All right. Number 7, I thought this was off the chain, that my boy asked me to go and I was available. Have more than one person on your team go and look. This investor is a seasoned investor. He already has property in multiple states, but it was just a great opportunity to see him work and myself work and take a different approach, especially when one of the tenants tried to get all juicy on me and I had to step up in him and step on the step. He wouldn't let us into the property, and we were very clear. We're here with the asset management company. We need to get in. We didn't tell him who we were, and he was like, no, not right now. It's not a good time. Well, we come to find out he was hiding a pit bull in there. So I stepped on the step, didn't get in his face, but he let us in. And so I don't think that everyone can do that. You might want to get someone at that stature, maybe a little bit bigger, a little bit huskier like myself, but the most important thing is have another set of eyes. One thing that we learned, number 8, be ready for the disgruntled property manager. We never even saw the property manager. We were there all the way from Oklahoma to Buffalo, New York, for 2 days. This property manager's been, I don't know how long she's been managing these properties, but she didn't even have the sack, I was about to say, the ovaries to even meet us. And it was just that property manager, I'm telling you, we don't know the numbers, must be stealing. There's a lot of things that we learned, and this is my number 9 or 8. I'm lost track, so don't even worry about it. You want to try to interview every tenant as possible and be elusive about it, who you are, and just ask them right when you walk into the property, hey, we're here to make things right. A lot of these people were low income, and they were worried that we were going to raise the rent. They were seriously worried that we were going to kick them out. And we were like, no, we don't want to kick you out. We're just here to fix some problems, some structure issues. We're having some management concerns. We didn't say problems, just concerns. Do you know this individual? And a lot of things came up, like she only receives rent in cash. Interesting. Found out that she picks up the rent. Interesting. At odd times. Interesting. We found out that she promised a lot of things and didn't deliver. That's normal property manager stuff. But we found through the circumstance that they're disgruntled. We found that it was unbelievable amount of deferred maintenance. Now, pretty much any property that you do buy from any ghetto landlord is going to be deferred maintenance. Not out of disrespect. It's just the nature of the beast. When you're a real estate investor, you're trying to buy more property, you're not going over there manicuring stuff. So it's just the nature of the beast. This stuff was just duct taped together to the degree of unsafe, hazard, toilets falling in, not worth the effort. One thing that we did learn too is that you never take no for an answer. The property manager kept blowing us off. I couldn't believe that this lady was getting paid and she wasn't even willing to open the doors or even give us access. And the owner was like lackadaisical about it. And he, come to find out, he was extremely motivated, but he didn't seem to, in my case, well, the property manager had some, I guess, worker or an assistant or somebody under this individual and unlocked the doors. Then his car broke down, and then he had a disgruntled situation with one of the tenants, broke his finger because the tenant said that the tenant slammed his hand in the door, wouldn't let her in. All that was BS and nonsense. So I was like, yo, this is how we're going to do it. You call that seller and you call them out and say, listen, do you want to sell these properties? Because if you do, we've spent thousands of dollars flying up here with our team. We need to get in here today. So we got the phone numbers and we sat there for several hours on the last day. So we got there Thursday, saw about 4 or 5 properties. And on Saturday, Friday morning, we were calling tenants, acting like we were somebody, like, hey, we're here to do an inspection. We need to get in for the owner just to do some systems check, meaning structure, plumbing, and heat and air, la-da-da-da-da. We got in. We saw most of the other properties, but it took a long time, and it should have been prevented if this property manager was doing their job for real. Make sure you always get access. Follow the law, 24-hour notice beforehand. And remember, you are the investor. You need to be the leader. Ask for the leases beforehand. Call yourself if necessary. So we were looking at all these properties, and we're getting kind of confused. They were kind of getting blinded together or meshed together. Your mind is like going ballistic. This lease lady said this. This house said this. There was a bunch of repairs on this one. So I'm about to roll out this podcast, but what we started to do halfway through this, there's an app that I use called Revcom, REV.com, and we would just debrief exactly everything. So after we walked through the property, took as many photos as possible, we got in the car real quick, hit the Rev button, which is Rev, the app, hit record, and went over everything that we came up with, what the tenant said, what their name was, what issues that they had, what was told to them, what the property manager said, didn't say, and that took about a minute, 2 minutes per property. Hit the button, transcribe it for $2, $1 a minute. Within 5 minutes, it was typed up, and then we had notes and photos, and boom, you're on your way. I want to emphasize again, listen to the tenants, ask them questions, try to develop a relationship. Just say, hey, we don't want to change anything. We don't want you to move. We just want to know what's going on so we can be the best property management company as possible. And the final thought is enjoy the journey. That's what you got to do. Real estate investing is fun. It has its moments. It's drama. You can get into situations that are not fun, especially flying across the country to purchase a deal and it's not turning out the way it would be. We'll come to find out after all this drama, we called the seller on the phone and said, hey, have you even been to these properties? Do you know what's going on? And the guy said, no. It hasn't been 10 years. So that's awesome. He is so motivated. When we started showing him these pictures and telling him the hazard, the liability, the drama, the maintenance, the repairs that need to be done, the things that the tenant said, he had no idea what was going on. And that's his fault. But man, it knocked off the price several $1,000s. So I'll finish up with this later on how to finally the acquisition. Right now, we're still doing our due diligence. We're still researching, still trying to build a team up there. But I know we're not going to pay what we've already negotiated down. So hopefully this encourages you that you can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. And it's not even my cribs. I just went there to be another set of eyes. My name is Stephen Van Kallenberg. You tuned in to the Savvy Radio Show. I'm glad you did. We got more episodes at thesavvyradioshow.com. Whatever you do, good or bad, always buy assets.
Thanks for listening to the Savvy Radio Show. Glide online and listen to our other motivating episodes at savvyradioshow.com. Connect on Twitter at LandlordBook and always be buying assets.